a dangerous mission.
I can't loan you a Starfleet runabout without knowing where you plan on taking it.
To Cardassia 4 to rescue a Bajoran prisoner of war.
If we don't leave now, Major, we never will.
To rescue a reluctant hero.
They still need you. But I am not the man that they think I am.
Exposes a secret society.
They call themselves the Circle.
That threatens to destroy the Alliance. Next time on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
There's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true.
Even the lies.
Especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government,
And the Promenade Merchants Association.
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to the number 3 TV review podcast in Switzerland. We are Switzerland.
Woohoo.
We are especially the lies at Deep Space Nine podcast. We are part of the Front Row Network and NPR Illinois Community Voices, and we're a group of newbies watching Deep Space Nine for the very first time, and a group of prophets who have watched the entire series at least once, if not 500 times. And we are here today to start season 2 with The Homecoming. And as I promised Jessi, we got to be continued at the end of this episode. We are in a little different world here. So first off, I'm Scott, and with me is
Emily.
Prentice.
Mike.
Nicole.
Jessi and Ted.
Ted. Do y'all like the outtakes where
Yes.
Prentice, I need to start drinking. That was my favorite.
That was the best. Oh, that one was good.
If that doesn't sum us up in like one
Pretty
perfect segment, yeah.
Oh, good that you all laughed, because I was like, should I keep some of these in here?
Oh shit. Listen. It made us sound like such an absolute shit show, and I love it. So people know that we're like who we are.
And it got us to 5 minutes on the podcast, so
Oh,
we got a full episode. Before we get started, a reminder to like, subscribe, follow, click all of the buttons, the up arrow, all that good stuff. And also, if you can, run over to Apple, and the link is down below now. I added the review link straight in the show notes. Run over to Apple and give us a review there too. We really do appreciate it, and it does help the show grow. And a special thanks to our Patreon members who are supporting us month to month. And if you join our Patreon, you can get on our Discord server at any level. That includes general chat and also a spoiler chat. So if you want to make fun of the newbies and they can't see it, that's where you can do that. And we're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, all of that stuff. So click all the links, do all the stuff. We appreciate it. And we did get a review in from our good friend AzzyPod17. And really it's just about them, but we'll take it. It's a 5-star, so we'll go with it. The review is, I got name checked! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Well, you guys dropped my YouTube pseudonym on the podcast a few episodes back. Finally caught up with all the episodes, and Duet was a perfect response to the smut of fanfic in the previous episode. My own rewatch is coming to an end soon with season 7 finale 2-parter, so I rewatched with the podcast coming out most likely with season 2's opener, which is right now. So hopefully you're doing that. And I'm so glad I found you rather strange people. Abbas from the UK. Thank you so much. We are strange.
We love you.
That's a great way to describe us.
I have no recollection of name dropping his YouTube channel. What was that about?
It was, I don't know.
Is he the real Chuck Tingle? Is that why we were talking about fanfic?
I think it was from Duet, but I can't remember now. This review came back May 5th, so it's been a while. Let's go ahead and dive into season 2 with the homecoming. Nicole, I believe you have a synopsis for us.
I do. Kira rescues a Bajoran resistance hero from a Cardassian labor camp. An extremist group calls for all non-Bajorans to leave Bajor.
We have no idea how we deal with extremist groups. No idea at all. Let's hear from our newbies on their first impressions. Jessi, how is your and your puppy's first impressions of Homecoming?
Well, Ted slept through the whole thing. So
Excellent.
It was an entire not nap episode. It was a whole sleeper. I actually enjoyed the episode. This is what I want. You guys spoiled me with Babylon 5 where it was all serialized. So I have been struggling with the episode by episode. So to see something like this when it said to be continued, I was like, wait, what? Like now I want to watch the second one. But it was and overall it was a good episode. Like I enjoyed it. I watched it the first time. I've watched it like probably 4 times because it's been so long since we were supposed to do it and doing it now. But the first time I watched it, I just kind of like existed through it. But the second and the third time I watched it, it was like this is cool. I'm really digging. Like I heard different things. I heard things that I don't remember names. You know how I am, but how the guy was, who he was and who he said he wasn't. So I thought it was cool. I liked it. Make a short story long.
Nicole.
I don't know if it was just me, but I thought it looked a little crisper and brighter, like the production. Like it seemed a little bit more clear, vibrant, brighter. So I really enjoyed that. O'Brien has different hair. His hair was a little different. I noticed that. I'm very weird and I noticed technical things. But overall, I really did like this episode. I thought it was a pretty good use of everybody was in this. You know, Odo was in it, Quark is in it, Kira, like everybody was in it at some point. Except I don't recall Bashir, but maybe he was. I don't know. But I really enjoyed the story that Lee told with Cisco when he found him trying to stow away, and he told him about, you know, hey, he's not a real leader, he's a fake leader and all that. And I had to like watch that scene a couple times because I had a lot of feelings about it. I thought it was really interesting. So that was like a real big standout for me. I felt bad for Quark when he got attacked and branded, so I think I officially like Quark now. I'm just going to put that on the record.
How are the lobes, Quark?
Yeah. But overall, I really thought it was a good episode, except for the ending. I did not like that, which I'm sure we'll talk about. It had like a new, exciting, more like, I don't know what the word is, feeling to it. And I think it was because it was brighter and crisper. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, that's the one crappy thing about Deep Space Nine is we haven't gotten a 4K redo of it. TNG got that several years ago for the Blu-ray, and unfortunately DS9 hasn't been touched up like that, so it definitely looks grainy, especially if you're watching on Paramount Plus. It's not pretty, but sadly, Paramount is not willing to pay money for it. Prentice, how about you? First impressions?
First impressions, love the episode. A couple different things. I love the relationship between Kira and O'Brien as that's developing. We sometimes forget that O'Brien had that experience with the Cardassians, so he really understands what Kira has gone through. So I love that development. Also, the development between Cisco and his son, Jake. Jake is growing up, has a little girlfriend. I love the kind of father-son talk about certain things about their relationship. So that's been great. And also looking deeper into the Bajoran kind of history and discussion about the insurrection, about their revolutionary ways, and seeing this guy that's basically like, I don't want to be this leader. You all keep raising me up and making me this mythological leader and this great guy. I'm really a coward a little bit, right? So I love that. And like Nicole said, when he told that story to Cisco about what really happened, I thought that was a great story talking about this reluctant leader. So overall, I thought it was a great episode. Also, to Nicole's point, everything looks better. It feels better. It's the second season. It feels like they have their footing and things are getting better overall in the production and just in the way the cast is relating to one another. So overall, I thought it was a great opening to the second season.
Emily.
I like it. It's not one of my favorites of the season, but it is a good way to open the season, especially since we have a continuation of the plot and we get a bit more background on what's still happening on Bajor and the things the Cardassians are doing, since like season 1 they kind of talked about them, but overall they weren't in every episode, and now we're getting more details about that situation. The one thing I don't like is Kira's outfit when they go to Cardassia 4. I don't know why, but it irritates me. Look, I have no explanation other than I'm sorry, if you're gonna try to play her off as a sex worker, like maybe a different outfit, but maybe that's the style they're going for. I don't know.
I mean, again, I've said that Nana Visitor was my show crush, but I think she played it off well.
I mean, she still looks good. It just, I don't know, the outfit seems a little more...
Nasty.
It was nasty.
Yeah.
I hated both of their outfits. Like seeing O'Brien in regular clothes.
It's weird.
Right. I was
weird.
Hey, it could have been worse.
That's
It could have been
what you
Jake Sisko clothes.
Yeah, it could have been a romper.
That part.
Okay, Mike, your first impressions.
I really like this episode. It's an interesting one because I guess my initial take was like it's not super action packed, but there actually is some action in this that kind of I almost forgot about, and which is funny because I had a remark that it's much better than the last time we saw a gunfight in Star Trek that I completely ripped on how they all just stood out in the open and made no effort to not get shot. But no, I guess as far as the first impression goes, I really like this episode. I think the production values are up. I felt like every actor on this episode felt like they were more comfortable in their skin, and the plot line was really engaging. And I'm really excited to see it dip into kind of a more serious tone by getting back to the roots of the show. I felt like we drifted away from it a little bit in season 1, but we're getting back to the roots of the show being related to Bajor and its conflict with the Cardassians and kind of how DS9 is caught in the middle or deliberately placed in the middle. Also, some really interesting guest stars on this one, which I think we'll talk about. There are at least a handful to discuss. So yeah, overall, I really like it.
Yeah, I've been telling you, the newbies here for a bit, that starting in season 2, we start getting continuing storylines. And that came from Michael Piller, who again is showrunner at this point, when he went to the writers at the end of season 1 and said, okay, when we start season 2, I want you to write an episode that cannot be done on TNG, that is not a crossover, not anything else, and it could only work on DS9, which the idea, to what Mike was just saying, the Bajoran resistance, the Cardassians, the political intrigue, that's all DS9 stuff. Ironically, the story pitch came from a TNG writer and producer. Jerry Taylor was working on TNG. She was lead producer on TNG for the last couple seasons, and she would be co-creator and producer of the first 4 seasons of Voyager. But her pitch was a TNG pitch that was the idea that a war hero is found to be not what he is thought to be. But they took that and they ran with it with DS9, and we got this episode. And this is the first episode of DS9 that has it to be continued at the end of it, unless you watch Emissary as broken up into 2 parts. And this is the first 3-parter of Unitrek. So we have 2 more episodes of this coming up. So yeah, I really enjoy this, and we're seeing what DS9 can be and what it will be as we keep going. All right, guys, where do you want to start on the talk? Nicole, what do you got?
So I would like to start, and Prentice touched on it, but let's start with the Jake Sisko moment. I think that'd be a good way to start and then go into the bigger stuff. I really liked that whole storyline. When he told him that he asked her out, he was like, what? Like, you could tell Sisko was not ready for this. And then Jake was like, yeah, I already know all this stuff. I don't need this talk. And then what did he say? Something like at the end, he's like, I could tell you're not ready for this. We'll talk about it later.
I can see you're not ready to have this conversation. Yes.
I was cracking up because I feel like that's every parent's worst nightmare is like their child being like, by the way, and it was just so cute the way that he reacted. And he was just like so taken aback. And then when poor Jake got stood up, my heart broke for him, the little sweetie. And Sisko was so tender with him. And it was just such a nice moment from start to finish, that whole storyline. Like, it was just so wholesome is the word I'm looking for. I just really enjoyed that.
And again, because this is DS9, they tie that into the fact that Bajoran kids can't date those Federation kids.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little piece as well, too. Emily.
I just thought I would point out that in the season 1 finale predictions, Jessi said Jake would get a sex talk. So it's nice to see that her prediction happened in the first episode of season 2.
Jake threw away the sex talk, or tried to give his dad the sex talk.
Yeah.
is what really happened. It
There was still a
close.
sex talk, yeah.
We have the beginning of it, and I'm just happy that one of her predictions came through. Okay.
So what
At
you're
least.
saying is most of the other ones don't. Good talk, Emily.
I'm not commenting on the rest of them. I'm just saying I'm happy you got one.
I don't know. I think I'm onto something with Odo and Kira. I see it. Anyway.
We'll see.
You all look at me
Although-
like I'm a fucking idiot.
O'Brien is her
Gaslight
pimp
me or
now,
something.
so.
Not at
O'Brien
all.
is her pimp.
Not at all.
O'Brien's her pimp.
Oh, and don't forget that Quirk was the one that went to her quarters.
Yeah, knocked on her door.
Got a little boudoir preview. So
Yeah, try to be getting in the bedroom
I'm
already.
surprised she let him in, to be honest. I was very surprised.
we'll talk about that next. I mean, I actually loved that scene. I thought that was a really fun way to start this episode and to show that, I guess at this point, I don't know how much time has passed. I feel like they said it at some point, didn't they, in the episode, that it's been like 8 months or something like that?
Cisco said that they've spent about a year working on it, and the last episode was 7 months in. So we can assume that it's been almost a half year since we saw him last.
But I actually really loved that. And I thought it was really cool, like, to see that even Quark, for who he is and what he's got going on, it seemed like he and Kira were like, at least, like, they're like the friends that don't want to admit they're friends.
Like me and Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Whatever. He sat by me at breakfast, so you guys can't fucking talk about me.
That's right.
Ate his waffles. It was great.
Yep. Waffles and chicken. Chicken and waffles.
I mean, I only cried a little bit when you drank my milkshake, but nah.
That sounds filthy.
Does it bring all the boys to the yard?
What?
Mike?
What's no? That was
Mike's milkshake brings all the boys to
God
the
damn it!
yard.
I was clearly referencing
I was
the other
thinking
movie.
it.
All right.
That's what you get for.
Oh,
Walked right into that one.
You did.
I will say too,
Holy shit.
I think part of this is to build up the end of the episode where Kira gets fired, is we do get a lot more banter with Cisco and Kira too. It's kind of a more just like a still professional relationship, but just, a fun relationship. Like when she says, I need to borrow a runabout. And he's like, I can't just loan you a runabout. I need to know why. And she tells him, he's like, okay, I wish you wouldn't have told me.
Better to ask for forgiveness.
They're just, I think we've all said it, they're just kind of, all the cast is more relaxed now.
Yeah.
This episode was filmed a month after season 1's finale aired. So they've had a little bit of a break from production. They're coming back, and now they have seen, for better or worse, the fan reactions as they have seen every episode air before they came back for this new production.
that brings up a question. How much time was there between seasons? I mean, taping of these seasons?
Oh, I don't know when the production wrapped on the last season. Let me see if I can find out. Nicole, go ahead while I do some research.
I was going to say, I thought, like, you kind of touched on it, Scott, but Kira really had formidable discussions and moments with almost the whole cast in this one, from Quark to Cisco. But I really loved how O'Brien insisted on going with her. And she was like, yeah, no. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm going with you. And they were trying to teleport the people up, or I don't know what the proper term is, beam them up, whatever.
Transport.
Transport, yeah.
Or beam me up, Scott.
Yeah. But I also feel like he really made it a point to go with her. And when she's like, we got to land, he's like, all right, let's do this. He was not afraid to jump in. He was not afraid to go with her and help free these people. Like, I really enjoyed that. And I thought it was awesome. Oh, also too, I thought it was hilarious how everybody knew that she asked for a runabout and was like, so what are you going to do to Cisco? And like everybody he talked to, he's like, well, and they're like, yeah, like it's the worst kept secret on DS9. There was so many good moments and like discussions in this episode, but I felt like it all was very cohesive. It was a good balance of lighthearted and a little heavier.
Well, you mentioned Dax. I like the fact that she came out after talking to Cisco and gave Kira kind of like a little wink, like, yep, it worked.
Can we just talk about how I had to punch Cisco straight in his mouth when he was like, listen, you're a good pilot, but he's better. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm clearly aware that I'm not the most perfect person at everything in my life, but the second that you tell me somebody else is better, first of all, you could have kept that shit to yourself. Second of all, now I got to go prove myself there's some weird shit that's about to happen and it's all your fault. I need you to solely blame yourself.
Well, I think it's because those are Federation runabouts. They're not Bajoran runabouts.
Right.
It's a Federation
Yeah.
ship. So he knows it better, I think is what he meant. Like, I wasn't like, oh, he's being a fucking rude ass man.
Right. But to say, hey, he knows these better is not the same thing as he's better.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
first
it
of
could
all,
have been
fuck
written
you.
better. I don't think that's what he meant.
I
don't
will
know.
say TNG does the same thing. There was an episode in Next Generation where, and actually I think it happens after this episode, where LaForge is told to go on the shuttle, and he says, well, I'm a good pilot, but the best pilot you want is Will Riker, who was, on the cast as well too.
It's
so
different
they
if
do this every
I
now and
say
then.
it. If I tell
Okay,
you,
I get what you're saying.
So, okay, and am I yelling? Do I feel like, because I have my headphones on, I can't hear myself.
No, you're fine.
You're fine.
We'll
Okay.
let you know when you
So,
yell at us.
I
which
just
is
don't
gonna
want to
happen
seem
sooner or
super
later.
aggressive, even more than normal. But like, there's a difference between me being like, oh, my partner's better at something than me, and you, my boss, telling me that my partner's better. First of all, I'll kick his ass. So let's talk about that. Don't get this kid beat up because you have something to say. I'll be the first one to tell you somebody else is better, but you better not agree with me.
Note to self: Jessi is in charge of everything. Got it.
No, like I said, I'm not the best at, well, most of the stuff I'm the best at, but like not everything. So I'm not cocky at all. I'm very modest.
Yes, of
It's
course
fine.
you are.
Uh-huh.
Of course you are. No egos here.
I didn't see this being that controversial. I don't know.
Right. No,
To me,
because
it's
you're
like
not a woman.
and that's fair. I looked at it purely from through the lens of
Yes, Mike. Mansplain this to us. Go for
Cisco's
it.
in charge, and
He is.
and if you're gonna sanction this risky, like if you're going out on this limb to sanction this risky mission, then you're gonna do it full ass, not half assed. And if that means saying you're not as good of a pilot as this guy, so if there's any chance you're gonna succeed, you're taking him and he's gonna fly.
Right.
Like that's not controversial to me.
There's
So
just so many other ways that you can pitch it. Like,
Well, and the one way he could have pitched it was, and he talks about this later when he's on the phone with Dukat, is you literally started a war, but luckily the Cardassians didn't pick up on that. So sending Miles could have been, hey, I need a Federation officer or non-com to go with you, because if it's just you, you're not the Federation.
That was my interpretation. I thought he was simply trying to make an excuse for O'Brien to be here. He wasn't trying to insult Kira. So I just saw him say, like, hey, I need an excuse. Go out there. O'Brien is with you, blah, blah, blah.
I may be overly competitive.
but Starfleet's military. He doesn't have to explain shit. He's the ranking officer.
Well, no, and he doesn't.
Starfleet's for exploration only.
All right.
That's why we have
I
quantum
would-
torpedoes.
Rather you say to me, Jessi, I need O'Brien to go with you because I'm pretty sure you're going to blow up wherever you're going. Like, I can't trust you not to fucking behave yourself. So take this dude so that you can both get in trouble and not just you.
Fair enough.
That's a fair statement. And just to comment on that, because somebody just said it, the whole Kira started a war and luckily the Cardassians didn't buy into it. I would argue, and I was watching it and I thought this, I would argue that the Cardassians continued the war and didn't, by you having prisoners of war after you were supposed to return everybody, that to me is all fucking bets off. So,
well, and the thing too, I mean, we can assume, and this is just kind of nerd nomenclature, but if it's called Cardassia 4, that probably means it's the fourth planet in the Cardassian system. So not only did they keep war criminals, they kept them in their home system. That's like sticking our war criminals on Mars.
yeah. And the fact that they didn't know about them, when we have prisoners of war, most of the time we know about it and it's being dealt with, but these guys they were totally off the radar. So that to me was okay, all bets are off at this point.
And if it can't be dealt with, we send Rambo in. That was the second movie, right?
Send Jessi with O'Brien and we'll see what happens. I'm not going to act like a prostitute. I'm going to go in gunslinging. And that's why nobody would send me, because I'm not playing that game.
Let's dive into that whole thing, a whole of them landing and her being the prostitute.
Scott would love to dive into that.
Wow.
Yes.
Ew.
Here we go. Yes.
All puns intended.
God.
She could do better. Sorry.
Oh,
I know
God.
she could. I
Damn.
absolutely
Remember
know
when
she
we
could.
just had this whole conversation about maybe keep that unsaid? It's fine.
Whoopsie
Like, just let it
doodles.
out.
Damn, Emily's
If it feels
phasers are
good,
set
say
to
it twice.
burn.
Damn. Is it because they were randomly just landing on their planet or whatever that they had to like pretend there was another reason to like distract them, essentially?
Well, I mean, you can't send in the United States Marine Corps into like London and saying we're here for your people. That would not go over well.
We'll see what happens in the next couple of years, won't we?
Yeah.
Like,
I guess that
yeah.
could be a question for later, but is it customary for them to get prostitutes sent to their planet and to their concentration camps?
Space Nazis.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That is true. So, but I thought that was a clever, creative way to distract them. No offense, guys, but we prove the point that guys can't say no to boobs or a chick when they present themselves. So the guy was all about it, and then bam, he got.
We're always thinking with our lobes.
Like it.
Hasn't it been established that they mentioned the Kardashians and sex workers in the first season? And how prevalent that was when the Kardashians occupied the planet? I think they did mention that.
Okay.
And they talk about them in the Hollow Suites too, don't they?
Yeah.
I thought that they did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I call them space Nazis for a reason. There really is an allegory here between Cardassians, Bajorans with Germany, Nazis, and Jewish and other minority people. They were used as labor and they were abused as such. That was it. Mike.
Okay, so this to me is one of the not the sex worker part of the deploy, but one of the weaker parts of the episode, and something that frequently bugs me when I want to get like really pedantic about the rules of Star Trek and the technology in the Star Trek universe. They are able to detect the runabout coming into Cardassian space enough to call them up and try to check them out, and yet this runabout flies all the way into Cardassian space to the home system and manages to land on the planet, and apparently nobody knows.
Well, they did call him and then she talked her way out of it. Gull something wants his stuff.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It just seemed implausible to me that they were able to get all the way to Cardassia 4 and land on the planet without anybody spotting a Federation ship doing so.
I'm not going to lie, this is definitely probably just me, but I thought of the scene from Spaceballs where they talk to Pizza the Hut, as he calls him.
Oh, Pizza the Hut, I forgot about that until just now.
Pizza the Hut.
You're delicious.
God damn it. You're gonna make me
watch Spaceballs.
You're gonna make me jump into the first guest star nod that I wanted to make, which was
Yes.
and I am not actually sure as I'm looking through this which character this was. It was the freighter captain, so I think it's the chick that meets Quark in the bar and gives him the earring.
Yeah.
Her name, the actress's name is Leslie Bevis. Leslie Beavis, and she played the commanderette on Spaceballs, the one who called President Scroob on his urinal wall.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Jessi, what do you have to add?
Nerds. So going back to what Emily was talking, it's not Emily, it's Nicole. Jesus Christ. I am not even drunk. Okay.
You all look
Going
alike.
back to what the other Emily / Nicole said about it being a good idea. It was a real risky choice to make that decision to walk in there and act like a prostitute, because being a junior Kira myself, the second he was like, come here, let me inspect the goods, I'd have been like, put one motherfucking finger on me and I'll break every fucking one that you have. It's hard for me to put myself into that situation, knowing that she's very similar to me, watching it happen. And I'm thinking, there's no way that I would let him talk to me like that, him tell me to spin around and so he can look at the goods. You can go fucking dig your eyeballs out with a spoon before you see these goods.
Well, she did shoot at him later.
And it took her a lot longer than I thought it would have me. It was a risky decision because knowing her personality-ish, right? She was a better actress than me, because I'd have been like, absolutely fucking not. Just don't even look at me. Avert your eyes, sir.
I get the impression from, given that Kira was a freedom fighter, that maybe it's not the first time that she's used that ploy.
If it works once.
Yep.
Mike, since you mentioned the guest actors, I of course have one that showed up that I wanted to hit on. Frank Langella.
That was not the one I was going to jump into yet.
So Frank Langella was the minister from Bajor who also fires Kira at the end of the episode. Frank Langella, for those who are not born in the 80s, played Skeletor on Masters of the Universe, which is an amazing
live action movie. Yeah, it's all fun and games until Skeletor shows up to fire your ass.
Exactly. And the fun
If you're
thing
born in
is,
the 70s, he was Dracula.
yes, that's true. That's true. The fun thing is, you will not see Frank Langella credited on the episode because he did it without a credit. He did it for his kids, which is exactly why he did Masters of the Universe too. His kids liked He-Man, so he did it. Kids like Star Trek, so he was on Star Trek.
God, did they use his voice in Masters of the Universe, or did they use another actor?
Yes. Oh, yes.
They did. Okay.
Yeah, he was Skeletor floating through. He actually, because the script wasn't that good, he rewrote most of his lines for Skeletor too, which is why Skeletor eats up the scenery like no other in that movie. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's actually a great actor, Frank Langella. I was looking through his IMDb credits, and we get a lot of guest actors, and I'm usually kind of blown away by how many acting credits a lot of these guys have. Frank Langella has a lot, but there's not a ton of stuff that jumped out at me, honestly. Like, he's an underused asset, I think, in Hollywood, or maybe he just did the roles he wanted to do. I don't know.
The one he did relatively most recently is The Trial of Chicago 7, which was Netflix movie. He played the judge, and he does an amazing job as the racist asshole judge.
So yeah, Frank Langella is great, but the actor, the next one that I wanted to just to throw out there if we go back to the jailbreak, was the actor who played Borum, who was the other Bajoran who ultimately sacrifices himself to help Leonalis get away. That guy was played by an actor named Michael Bell, who, Prentice, you might recognize him as the voice of Prowl in the original Transformers cartoon.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep. And actually, I didn't know this until like a little bit ago, but when I was IMDbing him, he has tons and tons and tons of not only voice acting credits for things that I play Heroes of the Storm all the time, and he voices one of the characters in that I didn't realize who it was, but he's in lots of live action stuff too, including he is in the Star Trek The Next Generation very first episode, Encounter at Farpoint. He is the administrator of Farpoint.
Oh, the scraggly haired guy?
Yep.
Who was like, screwing with the aliens? Yeah.
Zorn. Yep. He's same guy.
Oh. This
Crazy.
is also the first time, and we'll start seeing this more and more as we again get back to the continuation of the story that is now going to start happening more often, Jessi, I promise, is Mark Alimo is credited Gul Dukat. So we'll start seeing secondary cast members actually get named credits, even though they're not on the full cast. So Mark Alemo is one of the first ones who gets that as being called out as Gul Dukat, as he's back for, I think, the fourth time now.
Yeah, at least the third. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I was really stoked to see that was Michael Bell. And again, I had no idea. This is one of these guys where if I look at his IMDb, it's 388 credits long. Most of them, I think, are probably voice acting credits, but a fair number are also live action. And I'd be remiss to say that he was also Duke in the G.I. Joe cartoon. He was in MASH. I think it's probably safe to say Michael Bell has been a part of everyone's lives at some point.
I just heard him say Yo Joe in my head because he's Duke.
Yep. So
wait, Mike, did he voice any of the Transformers in the 87 or 86 movie?
Yeah. Like I said, he was
Prowl before he died.
He was Prowl.
I mean, besides that, Prowl. Yeah,
yeah, he was Prowl. He was Scrapper, the leader of the Constructicons. He voiced about 10 different Transformers in the original cartoon series.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
So,
nerd.
Did you have any other guest actors you wanted to call out, Mike?
Not particularly. I mean, the only other one that jumped out at me is Leonalis himself, who was played by Richard Bamer, and also a pretty good actor. I recognized him from Twin Peaks because I remember watching that show back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Getting your mind screwed with.
Yeah. Yep. And actually, he was in the reboot. I think then reboot or continuation. I forget how you want to classify it.
Yeah,
so
whatever that thing was. It was like on Showtime.
Back in 2017. But yeah, I think that's it. That's all the ones I had picked out on.
Well, that's a good transition. We haven't really talked about Leonalis at all, and our war hero who caught a guy when he was taking a leak. Nicole.
So, as I had mentioned in my first impressions, I really thought that story and his like becoming of the legend of Leonalis kind of thing was really interesting. People got carried away with what they thought happened, obviously, and made it up to be something bigger than it was and made him into something he didn't feel like he was. It almost made me think of like a little bit of imposter syndrome. Even though he became this leader and became this person who was somebody people look up to, it didn't happen the way that he maybe would have wanted it to. And I feel like he was really struggling with reconciling that. And now that they want him to be a leader, it was very relatable to what people I feel like go through on a regular basis, because imposter syndrome is a very real thing. No matter how successful you are, how long you've been doing something, whether or not you got there the way you wanted to, it is something that people struggle with. Just because it didn't happen the way he wanted it to doesn't mean that he isn't or can't be a leader, or he's not somebody that people can get behind. But I feel like he had to get out of his own head in order to get there.
I agree with Nicole regarding the imposter syndrome thing, because I think that especially if the more, like, I don't want to be like, I saw a meme that said that's intelligent people, but I think the more you try and the higher your standards you set, the more you convince yourself, some people, that you're just never going to make it. You're fooling people. Like, I did it all the way through grad school. I did it my first place that I worked in my career, my second place in my career. And I finally gotten to a point where I'm like, maybe I'm not so fucking bad at this. And I've gotten to a point where I don't feel like I'm fooling anybody anymore. But like watching it, I saw a lot of me. And when he was like, I'm not who everybody thinks I am, I literally had the thought of nobody's who everybody thinks they are. Like, nobody gives the public or like anybody really their true authentic self most of the time. There's people that are better at it than others, but there's still stuff that I try to mask and hide from the world so that nobody knows how actually crazy I am. So like, and I've had people say, holy shit, like you're like a perfectly packaged ball of like absolute dumpster fire, you know, like you like look like, because I have like I don't know how to say this without giving it away, the snakes in my life, they really like think that I have it together. Sorry. So people are like, oh my gosh, you don't know anything about me, you don't know where I've been, you don't know what I've been through. You're 100% right. I will never know any of those things, as you will never know what it's like to be me. But then I start to let them on to the anxiety, the panic attacks, the fact that I walk into Costco and I feel like I'm like being chased by lions. But then something jumps off at work and I absolutely thrive in chaos. It is the most ass backwards shit that I've ever seen in my whole life. But like people think because they see that version of me that I'm just like this totally like I've got all my shit figured out. Well, let's not talk about all of this over here in the closet that I cannot unpack and I don't want to. You don't have to be who you are. They just think that that's who you are. And that's all we need right now.
Listen, it's refreshing to see a leader that doesn't want to be a leader. He's not seeking power. He's basically saying, I feel like I have all these issues. I don't know why anybody will look up to me. And the things they believe about me that they think make me a leader is not necessarily true. So it's refreshing to see that compared to Jero, who is the professional politician, who's basically saying like, oh, okay, well, I have to deal with this guy. Kira, you brought him on purpose to sabotage the political alignment that's on the planet already. And Kira's like, listen, I want somebody that has fresh and good intentions to be a part of this planet because we need that person right now. So I love the fact they lift up a person that said, I'm not seeking power. I don't want this. And I don't even believe in myself. And to have that talk with Cisco, I thought it was enlightening. And I think it's some of the best of Star Trek, saying like the most imperfect person could be a leader of this people.
Yeah, and I'll say I kind of felt bad for the guy. I felt bad for the guy from the perspective that he really had this forced on him, and even Cisco, in his moment, I don't disagree with what Cisco said or that it was true, but he went to the guy and was like, not only do we don't need you to be that guy, but even pretending. Even telling him, no, man, you've got to continue to pretend to be that guy a little, for the sake of everybody else, was kind of unfair. And like I said, I felt bad for him because he's been doing it his whole, for years at this point, and he's being told that he's going to potentially have to do it for the rest of his life. And I'm sure it's exhausting emotionally and physically.
Going back to what Prentice said, it definitely is refreshing to see somebody like those are the people that we need in office, because it's nice to see people who are good for the people and not just so overly confident, but are in the same sense the biggest dumbasses that we could possibly have there. It's nice to see somebody say, listen, I just don't think I'm cut out for it. Yes, you are. you're perfect for this. Look at the people that are so unqualified to be in the positions they are. They're giving themselves a lot of grace. Like they're giving themselves so much grace that they don't deserve the grace they're giving themselves. And so it was definitely refreshing to see somebody say, yeah, no, I'm not it. And I don't think that I need to be here. And in the same breath, you want to say, absolutely, you're meant to be here and you're good for this company. You're good for this country. You're good for this world. You're good for the people. It was nice to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. The more of an expert you are in something, the less you think you're an expert, and the more you're a dumbass, you think you're an expert. I give you
You're
Facebook.
so very confident about the shit that comes out of, like, there was a post, and I'm not going to say who said it, and I'm not going to say when it was done, but it might have been done today on Memorial Day. And it said absolutely nothing.
Was it in all
about
caps?
People. It might have been, or maybe not, allegedly. So it was not anything about Memorial Day. It was anything about the people who have served this country, who have died for this country, who have fought for this country. Not a single fucking thing. It was about their opponents and this and that and shit that had zero to do with Memorial Day. You were so overly confident with that post. It makes me question your sanity.
Also, too, just another thing I kind of want to throw in there after I heard Prentice and Jessi saying what they were saying was like, you can look at somebody and not really know what they're going through. Like you can look at somebody and think, oh man, this person's got their shit together. This person's really strong. This person's this, and inside they might be dying. And I've been told by many people, they're like, how do you do it? How do you keep going? How are you so positive? How are you so blah, blah, blah?
Drugs.
No, it's not drugs. I should be. No, I'm just kidding.
Mental
But like
health.
you would never know if I was like upset or sad or depressed, because I am very good at masking and pretending everything's fine and putting on the happy face and getting shit done and powering through and this and that. But that's something our generation is really, it kind of puts us at a disadvantage in a way, because we just push everything down and we don't deal with it, right? So you can look at somebody and think, man, that person is it. And inside they can barely get out of bed in the morning. They might be depressed. They might be having a hard time. And so I just think that that's something kind of too that made me think about with this guy Lee. It's like you look at him and you think, oh my God, this guy's such a leader. He's so this and this and this. And he's just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I felt like that whole thing just really resonated with pretty much anybody, because everybody's felt like that at least once.
Jessi?
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Excellent.
That's good. Good talk.
It was
Yeah,
about
wrapping
putting a
up
bowl
this
of
whole-
lemons. Oh, it was about putting a bowl of lemons out on your coffee
Yes,
table.
I currently have one of those.
That's
No
how
kidding.
people know you got your shit together.
Oh, that's what it was. Thank you, Mike. See, this
Lemons?
is why you're here. It's about, you don't know what people are going through. That let's take a second and remind people that industry, like the fast food industry and service industry, hospitality industry, those people are getting beat on every fucking day, and you don't know what they're going through. So like when they are not super overly nice to you, and you're not entitled for them to be overly nice to you, like if they're checking off the basics, leave them the fuck alone. You do not know what they're going through. And it's like, I try to remind myself of this when somebody that I'm working with has a bad day. I'm like, hey, are you okay? Because they are fucking losing their shit. They're calling my mom a hoe and all the things. And like, are you good? What is wrong? That's a very odd thing to say out loud, and this is so unlike you. So like, instead of like snapping back and like losing your shit on somebody, maybe ask them if they're okay.
Yeah. When I would go one step further than that, it's not just, the laborers and the fast food folks and everything else. According to the latest data, 59% of us are one paycheck away from crisis. One missed paycheck. And
8 paychecks behind.
A majority of the people that you run into on a daily basis, regardless of where you run into them at, they are one paycheck away from crisis.
Yeah, one bad day.
Yeah, the one last thing I wanted to wrap up on this conversation about Lee is Ira Stephen Bear, who is going to be our showrunner in a few seasons, wrote this episode, and he looked to The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance as a template. And if you've ever watched that movie, it's a very good movie. John Ford directed it, and it's got Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne. And that's the whole thing, is Jimmy Stewart is seen as a hero because he shot Liberty Valance, but really he didn't. And that's the whole thing. So fun. The one thing we haven't talked about, I think, is as much as Kira was working really hard to bring this guy back because he would be a good thing for Bajor, she's the first one that gets axed. Nicole?
I literally cussed at the TV. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? There is no way that they are going to, like, I don't think Cisco is going to go for that. Like, I mean, obviously, and then of course it's to be continued. That sucked really bad. I really hope they don't actually follow through with that because I can't imagine DS9 without Kira. Like now that Kira and Cisco have a good relationship, they have to start over with this new guy, and who's to say that that's going to be a good fit, you know? So I was very pissed about that.
Jessi.
So the last time that I did this, you guys called my bluff and I didn't actually quit. But if this bitch doesn't come back to this fucking show, I'm going to be pissed and I might quit. I'll just say I might so that I can cover my ass. But this is not a show that we can do without her. I don't know how she is going to like marry Odo when she's not on the show. So she needs to get her ass back. And if she's gone even half the fucking season, you guys are going to hear me bitch every fucking day. This happened with Takashima, and I'm not fucking dealing with this. Get it together.
Hey, speaking of which, you just reminded me, because I was going to bring this up earlier. We saw Odo in this episode, right? Is this the one that started with Odo and Quark having a chat?
Yeah.
We saw everyone in this episode.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what I
Bashir was
thought.
also there, too.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where, Quark was basically telling Odo, he's like, we're friends. We're going to be friends. We're friends now. Like,
and then Odo turns around and says, you're up to something. I know you're up to something.
Yeah, but it just kind of, again, it reinforced my overall vibe of this episode, bringing it all the way back to the beginning, like our first talking point, that like the tribe is coming together. Like everybody is deciding that these are my people.
No, I just liked it because he was like, rule number 70, whatever of the blah, blah, blah. I don't pay attention.
The Ferengi rules of acquisition?
Yeah, he's like, every now and then, what do you say? Every now and then.
Every once in a while, declare peace. It will confuse the hell out of your enemies.
That is such an amazing, that's the whole keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That's like along the same lines. So I loved it. I really enjoyed that.
You want to write that one down and commit it to heart.
Why do you think I'm nice every now and then, Mike?
What's going on?
Right. Oh,
so when are you going to declare truce with us or peace with us then?
Oh no, sir.
You're still here.
Right. You're clearly getting.
We're
the
being
benefit.
Graced with her presence.
Yes, of me gracing you with my presence. That's what I was about to say.
But yeah, I was just going to say too. I'm going to be a fanboy for this guy because, for one, he makes DS9 what it is, but also he's just a really good writer, and that's Ira Steven Behr. And every time Ira Steven Behr touches a script and is the writer of the script, I think we get the dynamics and the inner exchanges between our characters and everything else. And I will say, too, in the hands of the prophets, the last season finale we just had will be the one and only time Ira Steven Behr does not write a season finale. So he will be very much involved in a lot of DS9.
What the hell was the whole thing about Quark getting branded? Was that the group that did the graffiti? That was the circle. Okay.
I will tell you the next episode that we have to watch is called The Circle. So I have a feeling you're going to get some answers. But from what we can tell, based on the couple scenes we've had, there is a group on the station who wants Bajor for Bajorans. Bajor first, guys. Tariffs.
Which, again, is a theme that we saw in like episode 2 when the other Bajoran guy came back and had his whole little plot to go blow up the wormhole, because that was ultimately his thing. He's like, this is the means to an end to get all of the foreigners to go away and leave us alone.
Yeah.
And now it's taking a different form.
Yeah, and as much as I joke about it and I point out that it's really freaking stupid to be like this, I don't blame the Bajorans because they've gone through, I think it's 40 years of hell. 70 years of hell, where the Cardassians have literally held them at gunpoint for generations and forced them to mine their planet and forced them to provide sexual favors and do everything else. So the fact that some Bajorans are kind of pissed off about it, I understand. But
yeah, well, I think I said in that episode, I don't think I was or still am entirely convinced that guy was wrong in his you know, in his opinion or idea. At least he was going to go do it in a way that wasn't going to hurt anybody. You know, this is a very different, very cowardly thing that's starting to take shape both on Bajor and in America.
Yeah. Well, and once you start moving towards branding people because they're not like you, I think we've gone past the, we're okay. But yeah, so Nicole, I think you're going to get that question answered next week. So let's go ahead and move into our question and predictions for our newbies who have not watched past the Homecoming, and then we'll kick them out and we'll talk any spoilers we may have. So Emily is ready to jot down the notes.
Yep.
And Nicole, questions, predictions. You have one question already. What the hell is this circle? So we got that.
Like what I want to know, what I want more info on the circle. Like, obviously I know it's like an extremist group. They're doing graffiti and they're causing trouble, but like how problematic is that going to be? And then I guess other than that, my prediction is that somehow, and I'm probably going to get gaslit as fuck, but Cisco is going to talk them out of removing Kira and putting the other guy in and find another special role for him somewhere. And if that doesn't happen, Jessi and I are going to riot.
Okay. Jessi, what do you got?
I haven't any fucking questions. I don't know why I cussed. It was so unnecessary. That
Fucking
sums
A,
me
man.
up in one sentence. So I don't have any questions. My only prediction is that these motherfuckers get their shit together and bring Kira back. I don't care how they do it, why they do it, where they do it, what they do with the other guy. He just needs to go the fuck away, and we need Kira in the show.
Kira.
Yeah, we're all team Kira, apparently.
Right. Teddy
I
agrees.
am.
Yeah,
so.
Ted agrees too.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and have our newbies leave us, and we will come back after the break to discuss these questions and anything else that may come up that we can't talk around the newbies. And they'll return with us next week when we talk part 2 of 3, The Circle. And
It's
remember
a three-parter?
it is a 3-parter. I said this is the first 3-parter in Star Trek history.
I heard, Scott, I don't listen to you. Shit, I heard you say it, but I wasn't paying attention. God damn.
So I guarantee you'll get a to be continued next week.
Great.
Okay, so a reminder to like, subscribe, follow, leave all of the comments you want on our YouTube, on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. If you're watching on YouTube, we do have an audio podcast. If you're listening to the audio podcast, we do have a YouTube podcast. All links are down below. And a special thanks to our producers who are our Patreon members who provide the highest donation every single month. We really do appreciate it, and it does help the show go. So if you want to join us on the Patreon, go to that link, and then any level of your Patreon donation will give you access to our Discord server as well. So until next week, when we talk The Circle, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Emily,
Prentice,
Mike,
Nicole,
And Ted.
and Ted. No, everyone's going to be like, who the hell's Ted?
It's my dog, people. You heard him.
It's
through the
my
whole
dog.
Show. He's an asshole. He's my asshole, though. Not to be confused.
He's a cute
No, they
one.
haven't heard him at all during the show because I'm good at my job.
Oh, okay. Good job. No, he doesn't.
See, the
listen.
Dunning-Kruger.
It's-
There you go.
Ted is my alter ego.
Oh, I like that even better.
It's one of my personalities. It's fine.
All right, I'm going to bed. Good night.
Be gone, newbies. Be gone.
good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast by searching for Especially the Lies on your podcast app or on YouTube. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Especially the Lies is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Paramount or any other owners of the Star Trek copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They are included here for purposes of review, and no infringement is intended.
Why have you brought me here? Show yourselves.
What do you want? The Cisco has returned to us.
He arrives with questions.
There are always questions.
Welcome back to our Beyond the Wormhole. We're 2 seasons in, and I haven't figured out what we're going to call this thing. But this is our spoiler section. If you have not watched past the homecoming or just don't remember what happens next, this is where you should drop off. If not, we're going to dive into our newbies, questions, and predictions. Emily, go ahead and kick us off.
Great. So, at the end of season 1, Jessi predicted that she will fight Prentice and Scott. I don't see her fighting Prentice. I see that more as her fighting with Scott.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah. But as far as the show's concerned, she predicts Odo and Kira will get together, and she's not wrong.
No, I was trying to keep a poker face.
It was really hard to keep a straight face for that one because, yeah.
And here's the thing too on this one, and I've mentioned this before, but I can't remember what episode it is, but I will remember before we get there. The writers don't even know that Odo and Kira are going to be a thing. I think it's Renee Auberjonois goes to the writers and says, "Don't you get it? Odo is in love with Kira." And the writers are like, "Oh, well, shit. We should write that."
How'd you miss it? One, you wrote it, and he kind of makes it obvious in certain ways.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Renee is playing it up like no other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
kind of interesting because I felt like there was an episode really early in season 1 or 2, like when Kira was still fuming and like stormed into his office, kind of looking for guidance, and he talked her down, and that has been the like only real interaction between the two of them, like I felt so far in the show.
Yeah.
But I
think one of the stuff I'm referencing really with Renee Auberjonois will be later on too.
Yeah.
I think he will play it up a lot too.
But I do think that scene that you're talking about kind of sets the groundwork because it shows, one, she respects his opinion and trusts him, and two, he understands her well enough to actually give her the advice she needs to hear.
Yeah, that's
that's really a solid foundation for something.
That's just the thing that's, I guess I just found it surprising because it was early on in the show that they very clearly felt like they were going to establish that there was, if not a romantic relationship, but some kind of relationship between those two characters. And they've just kind of completely left it by the wayside for the rest of season 1, the majority of it. So I'm eager for us to see it again. I kind of thought that it was, my memory's faulty. I thought it was more of a constant force, but it clearly isn't.
Yeah. So
yet.
I think she'll be really excited when we get to that part, and then she'll be absolutely shattered by the end.
I found the interview with Renee Auberjonois, so here we go. Auberjonois says, "I know for a fact that the writers did not anticipate that Odo and Kira relationship. It happened in the 2nd season in Necessary Evil, the flashback episode with Odo investigating a murder on Tarak Nor. And in that end, in the present time, he understands that Kira was responsible for this, that she was an underground fighter. The writers wrote in that scene at the end that they were in Odo's office and he looks at her. I can't remember the exact words or how they described him looking at her, but it was clear that he understood that the person who was his only real friend on the station has betrayed him in some way. I don't know what it was that I did, or if it was how it was shot, but the next day when they were looking at the dailies, the writers said, "Oh my God, look, Odo loves Kira." So it was the writers actually who caught it. And they went with that. Both Nana and Renee, when they started to become a theme, went, "What? Oh my God, look at this. Isn't this interesting?" Ours is not to question why as actors, so we went with it. We loved working with each other, Nana and I. We still love working with each other, blah, 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 blah. So it was this season coming up in an episode, Necessary Evil, and Renee played it that way, but didn't even realize he was playing it that way.
Yeah. Her next prediction was Jake gets a girlfriend and gets a sex talk, and there's more hints of a sex talk when he's dating the Dabo girl, and when they're on the Bajoran ship he built, and Cisco's reading his writing and makes a comment about what's written, what he wrote about, and his actual life experiences.
Yeah.
I believe there's hints at that there, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, and I always love the episode that destroys me, The Visitor, where Cisco jumps into the future and asks Jake if he has grandkids. And Jake says, I never married because I was working to save you the whole time. And that just wrecks Cisco. So, of course, that timeline doesn't happen, but the Jake and Cisco relationship is just amazing.
It's always good. And her last prediction was Cisco and Kira get along better. They have an improved relationship, which we will see.
And also, Cisco will get a girlfriend, and then she'll be put in jail for a while, and then she'll come back.
Yes.
And she'll play in the Orville.
All right. So, on to Nicole's. She wants to see more Quark Odo buddy cop kind of episodes. And there is the one with, the Orion Syndicate, and they end up stranded on the planet.
Oh, the ice planet
the coat
where
and
they're
the
climbing
gloves.
the mountain.
Yes.
Oh, God. That episode is, when we have the final flashbacks in the final episode, What You Leave Behind, the flashback for Odo and Quark is Odo beating the shit out of Quark on the mountain because he thinks Quark is dead. So it's, that episode. Oh, I think that's season 5.
It can't be the only episode
nuts.
between those two.
That's
the one that just pops in. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that is Quark and Odo. There's like hardly anybody else in it except for maybe in the very beginning and at the very end. But when I think of episodes that focus on those two, it's that one. Doesn't mean it's the only one. It's just where my brain goes.
It's called The Ascent. And it is from season 5, episode 9.
When Odo was a humanoid at that point, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Odo had taken his powers taken away at that point, which is a whole thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
She predicts a space battle, so she'll get a few of those.
Yeah, we get a few of those. Actually, I think DS9, Discovery is really good because they have CGI, but I think DS9 has some of the best space battles we will see with the Klingons in season 4, the Dominion, the Cardassians. It's really good.
I'm
Absolutely.
really excited to see more of the Klingons coming into this. But I was gonna say it's not really a battle, but season 2 ends with the Odyssey, doesn't it?
How much longer do I have to wait for Worf?
Season 2. Worf comes season 4.
That's what
But
I thought.
Mike's right. Season 2 ends with the search. Or no, season 3 starts with the search. Season 2 ends with the Jem'Hadar, which is the Odyssey getting taken out by the Jem'Hadar. And that's when we realize the Dominion ain't playing.
Yeah. She also predicted the Cardassians will restart shit, and
they haven't stopped.
Right? They never officially stopped. Maybe officially on the surface, but not fully. She hopes Dax and Bashir get together, so that'll be an interesting twist for her.
They will, just not the way you think.
Just not the current Dax. And the last prediction was she hopes Cisco finds a partner.
He will.
And that happens. Yep.
He gets hitched. Cassidy Yates, who I think is a great character, and I love the fact that I will get to it when we get to it. I don't know why. Is it Penny Gerard? Her name's Penny something. I don't know why she left, but they play it off as she got arrested and put in prison, and then she comes back and they just continue on like nothing ever happened. So I love that little dynamic too.
Yeah. So I'll give them credit. They have some really solid predictions there, and it's kind of really hard to keep a straight face when they're actually right. So I think as their predictions can show up and get confirmed, they'll enjoy the show even more.
We just need to start doing some more gaslighting. And
I know,
those on
work on
Facebook
that.
too. Gaslight the hell out of them. Go for it.
I am sad no one predicted the O'Brien Keiko Kira throuple though.
Okay. Okay. So that I gotta tell you though, that in watching movies and stuff nowadays where they try to hide pregnancies, because I always go back to like Avengers Age of Ultron, where Scarlett Johansson was extremely pregnant, and what they did was they stuck her behind a bar and she tended bar to hide her belly. The fact that they let Nana Visitor have her child and wrote it into the story, and it's like, oh, it's O'Brien and Keiko's kid, and science
future medical science.
Yeah. And the child that Nana is carrying at that time is Alexander Siddiggs. So that's fun.
Scott, do you have any kind of background on how their relationship is now? They're kind of like just Great Coke. What is that related to?
Yeah, I don't want to quote anything because I can't remember where I saw it, but I do believe that they're obviously separated and they have their own lives, but because they have children, they stick together for that. And I haven't seen anything where it was, not amicable.
Got it. Okay.
The one thing we didn't bring up too on this episode with Cardassia 4, this is the lovely canyon that we will see a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The one that comes up the most for me is a really amazing episode in season 6, Rocks and Shells, that will show up. And in this episode, they never said why. They thought maybe it was the heat, but Cullum Meaney and Nana Visitor were both dog ass sick while they were filming in that canyon. And Nana actually thought she was going to have heat stroke during the filming. So if she looks a little out of sorts, that's why.
Was that a location in California or was that in Nevada?
Yeah, it was. It was Stoledad Canyon, north of Los Angeles.
Okay.
The area was known as somewhat inhospitable. And on the call sheet for the first day's shoot was a warning to be on the lookout for bees, snakes, and various unspecified bugs.
Absolutely.
The service people were even told to bring plenty of sea breeze, which takes the sting out of bug bites.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Sounds like Australia to me. But anyway.
But we will see it again in Indiscretion in season 4, The Ship in season 5, Rocks and Shells in season 6. So
yeah, it gets used a lot.
Anything else you guys got?
I don't think so.
No.
I'm looking forward to talking. I know Nicole asked the question, what the heck is the circle? But we're going to talk the shit out of the circle here next week. And then in episode 3 of this, we'll have The Siege, which will be an answer to the question of what happens to Kira and everything else too. And yeah, so these next 3 episodes, I think, are really fun and really kind of give us a taste of what DS9 is going to be. Unfortunately, then we go back to season 2 and it's not as tasty after that. But, for a little bit, we get it.
Gonna say, just as I'm also sitting here scrolling through IMDb, because I decided to dig into Michael Belmore since I was geeking out over that earlier. We actually see him again later in the season. Although we'll see him under if I remember right, a heavy prosthetic. He's in one of the Maquis episodes as an alien.
Oh, okie dokie. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. And if you have any spoiler comments you want to make, don't make them on the open threads on our YouTube or Facebook or anything. But if you are on our Discord, we do have that spoiler section over there where you can go and chat it up with us there. But until next week when we talk The Circle, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Molly,
Prentice,
and Mike.
Have a good one, folks. Enjoy.
All right. Have a good night.
All right.
Don't.
Another one in the
get
can.
any bug bites. What's the line from Star Trek 6? Don't catch any bugs. Ha ha ha. Okay, never mind.
I don't recall that one.
Don't worry. I remember that scene.
Okay.
Nichelle Nichols hates that scene because Uhura looks like an idiot. She does. She hates it. She's like, I am the communications officer of the flagship, and I've been that way for 30 years, and I don't know Klingon? Seriously?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's call out the fact they actually had books on the ship. I was
still my favorite Star Trek movie.
Not everybody likes a Kindle.
Okay. See you guys.
All right. See you.
Have a good night.
Later.
Bye.
People of Eternia, I stand before the great eye of the galaxy, chosen by destiny to receive the powers of Grayskull. This inevitable moment will transpire before your eyes, even as He-Man himself bears witness to it.
All open now. I, Skeletor, am the master of the universe. Yes, I feel it. The power fills me. Yes, I feel the universe within me. I am a part of the cosmos. Its energy flows through me. Of what consequence are you now? This planet, these people, they are nothing to me. The universe's power! You, unstoppable power! And I am that force! I am that power! Kneel before your master! Fool! You are no longer my equal. I am more than man, more than life. I